What's up, folks, and welcome to the new rebranded Shots Fired podcast with DP, formerly known as the Fart Shired podcast, which that title might not have made sense to some, but there is a cool backstory to it. Before we go any further, the rules. Follow these accounts, have fun, or F off. Now, for some backstory. I was once a member of law enforcement for over 20 years. I retired in 2020. This is from my academy graduation, sworn in by the legendary, famous to some, infamous to others, Mayor Buddy Cianci. The man behind my left shoulder is my father. We were told a few days before graduation that anyone in the academy with a parent on the job would be allowed to have that parent place their badge on them. So after this photo with the mayor, I turned to my father, who was holding my badge in his hands here. I was dating this chick at the time, and when we were told about the badge presentation specifics, I trained her for like 3 days on how to take the proper photo of my dad and I. I even went out and bought a new camera. She didn't even take the camera out of her pocketbook. And in 1997, they weren't using digital cameras where you could instantly see the image and my fucking eyes closed and then take another. We got these about a month after. The most important pic in my life up to that point was ruined. All that was set right 9 years later, though, when my dad, retired a few years at that point, and my son presented me with my detective shield for my one and only sought promotion. Detectives was all I ever wanted. My dad being my first LEO idol, Detective Andy Sipowicz being the second. So, Fart Shired. When I was on the job, we had a dispatcher who would often fumble the broadcast when it was a legit call. Allegedly, this dispatcher was very often intoxicated, and when they got amped up, they would go too fast and often say things such as farts shired instead of shots fired. They didn't do this on purpose. Back then, we had these things called payphones, and every 911 call, including 911 hangups, had to be responded to. Often, when school let out, the payphones would light up with 911 hangups. On any particular main road, we could often predict the next call as the kids walked home. The calls would come in a few minutes apart, leading away from the school. The same dispatcher would say 911 hang up from a phone coin instead of coin phone. So when I wanted to start the podcast, my first choice was Shots Fired, SHOTS. But upon researching that title, I realized a podcast by that name already exists, and I didn't want to get sued. So it hit me, Fart Shired in honor of the beloved drunken dispatcher from my days of yore. Until the First Lady of DP Nation, while although sober, continuously flubbed the title when speaking of the show to me. She would say, "Your Shots Fired show today was great." Shart, as in trying to fart but pooping a little. I kept having to correct her. It's Fart Shired, babe. And then it hit me. I can't get sued for Sharts Fired, and maybe people would think I wasn't dyslexic because the backstory to the Fart Shired was never explained. So henceforth and forthwith, if so facto in a fortnight Game of Thrones going forward, the show will be known as the Sharts Fired Podcast with DP. So it is written, so it shall be done. Now it is time for some F Around Friday. I've explained in some limited detail that I started my X account shortly after coming as close as I ever had to ending myself. I sustained a major TBI and awoke the PTSD demon in my brain after a severe beating I took at the hands of a small mob on Christmas Eve 2006. It's been a constant battle every minute of my existence since that night. And after committing to my unaliving going back over a year now, I said, fuck it. I'm going to put it all out there and see what could happen. Maybe, just maybe, I could find another mental midget out there and inspire them. But as committed as I was to this platform, I was scared to death. So I went with my default, comedy. One thing I learned was that if I could become embarrassment-proof, I couldn't be harmed. That alone would eliminate major threats to my psyche because even prior to my demon being unleashed, my greatest fears were always rejection, heights, and alligators/crocodiles in that order. If I could eliminate the fear of rejection, I might just make it, and nothing feeds the feeling of rejection in me more than embarrassment. So I put myself out there, but I was too chicken shit to tackle the real stuff. I just pounced on any dopamine hit I could find by making strangers laugh online. The fact that they were strangers and often anonymous in their Twitter handles made things easier too. The closer you are to me, the more of a threat you become. I don't care if I'm judged or rejected by someone I've never met. So after about about a homelessness following an awful relationship choice last year left me fleeced and penniless, it was this exact platform and my work that brought me to a place I never thought existed and I truly feel I'm unworthy of. I always knew I deserved better in life, but karma has repaid me 1,000-fold. It sucks that I almost had to die to get here, but fuck, am I so happy I didn't do it. I planned it out to the last detail. I only had one round in the firearm, so it would go into lockback immediately and be rendered useless because I feared a child or Democrat would come across my body and accidentally hurt themselves if they handled the pew-pew. I am now convinced that karma had nothing to do with that. That was God, and God alone. And here I am, on the other side of the country I grew up in, surrounded by strangers, but somehow loved by someone whose love is only eclipsed by the love of my son. And because of that, I finally found the strength to settle down, to settle my mind and to focus, and the strength to really put it all out there. I honestly don't understand the Twitters and the algorithms and all that bullshit. I tried TikTok once, but I honestly feel that place is purely evil. It clearly promotes anger and chaos and repetitive depressive thoughts over others. Sure, there might be a cute cat video sprinkled in every now and then, but I found it to be 90% awful, and that's why white liberal females are addicted to it. YouTube and Rumble totally suck ass, but I post there only to keep the brand going. I just started a Spotify this week, and I'm still clueless to how that works, so the jury's still out on that, and it sucks feeling like I work harder at my platform, which is X, than anyone, but somehow I gain no followers. Maybe I truly suck at this, but I still credit it with bringing me my new life, so the debauchery will go on. And as a tribute to Fuck Around Friday, I will return to my roots. These are examples of the segments I started out with when I was too scared to do shows like The Trauma Chronicles and Survive. These are the shows and some of the accounts who have been with me from the very beginning. Please get to know them and follow all. I don't promote bullshit accounts, folks. These are just a handful of folks who either made me laugh or touch me in some way, giggity, and I repay them not with a simple like and share. I highlight them in a way that keeps my creative juices flowing and honors them proper. First up, just some random stuff like this post from Headshock 1962. Somewhere a dude is conning his baby mama out of her tax return so he can put rims on this shit.
What do you mean, you people?
Headshock also being retired from the job, as we call it. Next up, we got Democrats B with DPOG Steph.
I feel sick. I feel sick to my stomach. I feel sick to my stomach. I feel disgusted.
And after that, we got my segment titled Wood with DP. If you don't know what wood means, you'll catch on real quick. When all you want is a little pussy by Dilly's Memes.
What?
Totally would. Fellow pre-Disney Star Wars junkie Darth Spooner, Oreos are always best when you pull them apart and lick the middle.
What?
I would that as well. Next up is Jen with the wood of the day. And to prove I'll put my junk in anything, Spliffy Longstocking asks, does your mom know you're crying over a girl whose asshole looks like this? Yep, that's the balloon knot of the chick who fleeced me and almost killed my soul. This one here is not from a follower of mine, but I'd fuck that burger posted by Nathan's Famous any day. Big A rounds it off with another non-human wood. I also produce a segment called Me and Who, also self-explanatory.
What you do is you just squeeze all this goo out of his flour here.
And another from an account new to me. Back to Christian Reed, a.k.a. Darth Spooner. Back to Miss Longstocking. Every guy claims they want a freak. Again, me And who? Where my freaks at? Damn, Spliffy is on a roll when she invites you over for LSD and chill. What? Followed by the aforementioned First Lady of DP Nation, Snarky Potatoes. Doctors are warning people not to put frozen potatoes in their anus. More proof that doctors are my enemy. How about some rule number 76? What is that, you ask?
Rule number 76, no excuses, play like a champion.
We know that when you finally find the clitorati, it may taste like pee-pee for a quick second, but as the legend and pioneer Chaz Reinhold once commanded, no excuses, play like a champion. Also, rule number 76, when you wake up the next morning and realize why that hooker only charged you 5 sheets. Life goes on, people. I hope everyone enjoyed those few laughs as much as I did. Now time to pivot to something near and dear to me. I made it a point to get permission from my bosses to travel to any line of duty death funeral within about a 4-hour drive from my city. I did have to bury a few guys from my own department in my 24 years, 2 from my very own academy. And the first show I made on X is titled The Final Call. Please give me a moment. Police officer Calvin Patrick of the Detroit Police Department succumbed to gunshot wounds he received at 18,300 block of Steel Avenue in Detroit on May 24th, 1996. While driving north on Steel Avenue shortly before noon, Officer Patrick and his partner observed juveniles walking south. He stopped his patrol car to investigate a possible case of truancy. When his partner approached the 2 juvies, one subject smiled at her while he pulled out a handgun and fired at Officer Patrick. He then shot her in the hand before the 2 suspects fled east. Both officers were transported to Grace Hospital. Officer Patrick's partner was released 2 days after the incident. Officer Patrick suffered wounds to his chest, back, and arm, piercing his spine and leaving him partially paralyzed. He passed away from complications from his wounds on February 6, 2025. The youths were never apprehended. Officer Patrick had served with the Detroit PD for 29 years, and we have one more here going way back. Patrolman Edward Murtha of NYPD. End of watch, Friday, February 6, 1914. Patrolman Murtha died of gunshot wound he received while investigating a suspicious person in front of 37th 4th Street in Brooklyn. Patrolman Murtha had heard rumors earlier in the night that there may be trouble on his post. At approximately 20 hours, he observed a suspicious male standing in front of 37th 4th Street, and he stopped to question the man. When Patrolman Murtha asked the suspect what he was doing, the suspect mumbled an inaudible response. Patrolman Murtha then asked the suspect if he had a gun. Before he could move, the suspect drew a revolver from his right pocket, placed it against Patrolman Murtha's chest, and fired twice. Suspect then fled. One citizen who witnessed the shooting gave chase, shouting, "Get him!" He shot a cop. With that, several citizens gave chase, and the suspect fled on foot for several blocks, running past a fireman. The fireman gave chase but was shot and killed by the suspect. The suspect was finally captured by a patrolman and taken into custody after a fierce struggle in which the patrolman was injured. Patrolman Murtha was removed to Holy Family Hospital, where he died the next day from his wounds. The suspect was arrested and charged with murdering Patrolman Murtha and the fireman. He was convicted of manslaughter for killing Patrolman Murtha and of murder for killing the fireman. He was executed at Sing Sing Prison on February 4th, 1916. Patrolman Murtha had been a member of the NYPD for 7 years. He was assigned to the 147th Precinct, the present-day 76th Precinct. May they both continue to rest in peace. Also, folks, during my rebuilding process, I started a small, personalized swag business to try and pad my measly LEO pension. I don't need to be rich. I'm just looking for some rainy day funds. But please know that DPOG General Patton 83 needs a new phone. I did not sublimate this mug in reverse. Check out the link in my X bio, dp-does-swag.myshopify.com crooked line thingy. Some stuff is already up as I build the web store. Shirts and hats coming soon. In fact, just made last night for the first ever episode of Sharts Fired. That'll be posted on the web store today, and we'll finish, as we always do, with the timeline cleanser too. Remember, to those out there struggling, please stop, breathe, survive. Have a great weekend, and later, bitches.
I like to shit. You like to shit. We like to shit. This is shitting. I like to shit. You like to shit. We like to shit. This is shitting. I like to shit. You like to shit. We like to shit. This is shit. I like to shit. You like to shit. We like to shit. This is shitting. I like to shit. You like to shit. We like to shit. This is shitting.
What?
Get him, Jay. I'm not a cop.
You got DP'd.